The Arrangement, a swingers romance story. Copyright 2018 by Kathleen Hope. Published by Mike Vandervoort. Narrated by Taylor Horning. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner whatsoever without written permission. The unauthorized reproduction of this copyrighted work is illegal. No part of this book may be scanned, uploaded, or distributed via the internet or any other means, electronic or print, without the publisher's permission. This book is a work of fiction. The names, characters, and places and incidents are products of the author's imagination and are not to be constructed as real. The publisher does not have any control over and does not assume any responsibility for third-party websites or their content. Table of Contents. Company Policy. The Invitation. Secret Arrangement. Company Policy. Dude, you know you're going to get into trouble for violating the dress code, right? I grinned at my friend. Relax, Mandy. Old Mr. Gerald isn't going to say a word. I've seen the way he's been looking at me. I decided to give him something to look at. We walked into the conference room and sat down. I lay my notebook on the table, ready to take notes. Mandy glanced over at me. What do you think he wants to talk about? I shrugged. I don't know. I grinned at her. I figured, you know, you're his main secretary, not me. Yeah, but who does he call when he needs something? You. I shook my head. I can't help it. We settled as Mr. Gerald stood up. He looked around the table, making sure everyone that he'd called for was present and accounted for before he began the meeting. He hated to repeat himself. Let's settle, people, he called out. When the room was quiet, he continued. I've called this meeting to brief you all about a few changes that are going to take place. As you know, we've acquired more clients, and we need to think about splitting some of the accounts. I've been hearing that people are feeling overwhelmed by the workload, and I'd prefer to have productive people rather than crappy work from stressed-out people. Mandy and I glanced at each other. I shrugged. So I'm bringing on a new partner. We will divide the accounts between us. This won't change the dynamics of who is working with whom. It will just mean that for certain accounts you will report to me, and with others you'll report to my partner. Mr. Gerald walked around the table and opened the door. A young man who looked almost identical to Mr. Gerald came in to stand next the older man at the head of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my son, Jim Gerald Jr. The man looked around the table, offering each of us a smile in turn. I leaned over to Mandy. Damn, he and his dad could easily pass for twins. She nodded. Yeah, they really could. He's handsome. I shrugged. I think his father is more handsome than he is. Mandy snorted. Well, you have a thing for older men. I do, but you must admit that Jim Gerald Sr. is a handsome devil. He's not that old, though. In his mid-40s. That's not old. I guess. She broke off as the meeting was dismissed. We stood, gathering our things. That's when I heard my name being called. I turned to see the senior, Mr. Gerald, motioning to me. Yes, sir, I said as Mandy and I got closer. I saw his gaze linger on me for a few seconds longer than it should have. I tried to pretend I didn't notice, but inside I was tingling. He gestured to the empty chairs, and Mandy and I sat down. I knew she was wondering, just as I was, what he wanted. It had to be something big, or he would have just sent an email. Ladies, I'd like to introduce you to my son, Jim Gerald Jr.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?